I don't know if they're thinking about baseball or they're counting backwards or something like that, but they're definitely thinking to themselves, don't come, right? So that, in whatever form that takes.
Welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Eat.
It's cancer season. It is Monday.
You never see it coming.
June 21st is the first day of cancer season. I don't even know if we've ever had an episode on this special day. What's up, crab babies? 69ers.
Every year I think you might forget about it, and then every year you don't. The look on your face like it was Christmas.
I know. I have had that ham horn app on my phone since I've got an iPhone.
Waiting for the
first
day.
app I downloaded.
Waiting for the day. You're like, it's happening.
All right, we'll talk about it.
Think, I'm
going to keep it short.
Good.
Raina,
we'll talk about it.
People are sitting here listening. They're like, Raina never mentioned Gemini season once.
Yeah, we don't need the hype.
She's not as obsessed with herself. Right, exactly. Like we're overcompensating. We have a few really fun announcements.
Yes. So we, as you guys know, we're going back out on the road, and we have been asked to participate in something so much fun. Mm-hmm. So Just for Laughs, which is a comedy festival that we have participated in before in Vancouver and Montreal, is doing their big Just for Laughs escape in Cancun, and we're escaping with them, and we're inviting you to come with us.
Yes. JFL escapes in Cancun. What are the dates? This one's Raina's taking the lead on this.
It's going to be really cool. So basically what we're doing is it's an all weekend long comedy festival. So it's from November 3rd through the 7th, and one ticket is like all inclusive of all the shows. And so you get access to all these comedians. So Ashley and I are doing a show. Tom Segura is going to be there. Nikki Glazer is going to be there. Jim Jeffries. Tons of acts. And we're taking over the resort for the whole weekend in Cancun. It's the Barcello Maya Grand Resort.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So it is going to be really fun. The tickets go on sale on the 22nd. So that's tomorrow. We're going to have Instagram stories you guys can swipe up into. But in the meantime, you go to pollen.co. It's POLLEN.co. It'll be on our website. Tickets again on sale on June 22nd tomorrow. And we can't wait to see you guys there.
Yes. Did you say 5-star resort?
I said resort.
Okay, it's 5-star. Yeah, like when it's 5-star resort takeover is what we're doing. Okay. Also, I have to say this. We got a DM. I sent it to you. You've seen it. And someone DM'd us and it said, hey, you're going to JFL Cancun. Nikki Glazer just announced. Like telling us. Oh, we are? I sent it to our group chat with me and Raina and our two agents. I was like, hey guys, just wanted to let you know that we're going to JFL Cancun and this guy's going to handle all the details.
So if Nikki says so,
maybe he meant like a question mark, but it was so funny. Hey, you're going to JFL Cancun. Nikki Glazer just announced. So FYI, you guys are going.
Either way, like we're friendly with her. She's been on the show before. And it's like, he's either just telling us she's going to be there or telling us we're going to be there.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was like, hey, a heads up girls.
Yeah.
You're going to this thing. Did you know?
Well, you're going to this thing. We didn't know.
Nikki's our booker. Nikki announced it.
If Nikki says it, we just go.
We're so excited, and we'll be talking about it more. But again, like Raina said, go to pollen.co, and starting, if you're listening to this on Monday the 21st, first day of cancer season, it'll be tomorrow, June 22nd. And the tickets that you can buy to come see us do live shows right now are Philly. So we added a third show in Philly on Saturday, July 17th, a late 10 p.m. show. It's going to be so wild. These shows are going to be absolutely insane. Like Philly is just wild in general. So come from the tri-state area, come from Delaware. We're going to have so many Dewey Beach girls there, I'm sure. Friday and Saturday night, the opening act is
unbelievable.
I'm wet just thinking about it. My family's going to be there, Lindsay and Buck. Like it's going to be incredible. So come to those shows, girlsgottaeatpodcast.com for tickets. Get them. They're going to go quick. And we have more shows coming. So we saw a lot of people we know, people we've had on the show announce tours this week, and just a lot of comics and performers in general. And I feel like you guys are like, where's Girls Gonna Eat? So we're working on it. We just got an insane announcement today of I'm going to cry. The venue I wanted to play the most in my whole life this year.
Okay, like now I'm crying.
I know. I'm just like, can't wait to announce it. Oh my God. We whatever. So we got tour dates, guys. It's not going to be like so many, but it's going to be as much as we can fit in before the end of the year while also keeping our sanity. So coming soon announcements. But if you are close to Philly, come to Philly. We want to come to Boston. I'm just saying this because we're getting a lot of messages about Boston. Boston, always the top of our list, but we did go there right before everything shut down. So we do have Boston coming. I'll just say this, like early 2022. So if you're like, I got to go see them before that, it's come to Philly.
Yeah. DC also will probably be in 2022. So if you're in that area, Philly.
Which is so weird to talk about this, because it's June. But yeah, I mean, this is like people are starting to ramp up at the end of the summer and the fall. So are we. Obviously, we have Philly in July. We can't wait. But then it's going to be more like closer to the fall.
Yeah, we have other really fun stuff in the fall. We are, of course, rescheduling the West Coast dates, the Texas dates, and anything else, you guys. So we are just trying to fit in as much as humanly possible. And you can stay tuned on our newsletter, on our website. If you just log into our website, girlsgottypodcast.com, a pop-up will come. Just shoot your email address there. When we announce dates, we'll email you right away. You'll be the first people to know.
Yes.
And then also on our website, you can go to the shop part of the website. We are going to be releasing all new merchandise this summer. So most of those styles are last call. So check out hats, merch, sweatshirts. We're going to design a whole new batch for you guys. We're excited for you to shop that. But almost everything on the site, this is last call in the next couple weeks.
Yes. And Spotify playlists. Go to Spotify. It's the last announcement, I swear. Spotify playlist. Every week we release a playlist. It has episodes that go with a certain theme and then songs that also go with that theme. So we have like Shot Girl Summer. We have like getting you feeling sexy. There's a boy bye playlist. There's a girls night out with friendship episodes. So that's all mixed in. So go check those out too.
Yeah. We have a hot week for you guys.
Yeah.
You want to tease it? You want to see what's happening?
So we wanted to do an episode, what guys think about during sex, and whatever. We had this idea to basically bring in two guys that had kind of different takes on it and combine it all into one. And sure enough, we just love talking to these two guys so much that it's going to be 2 episodes. So today we have Sebastian, the editor-in-chief of Esquire Magazine, and we're chatting with him. And then Thursday we have Jared Freed coming back on again as a bonus episode. So I mean, he just left. It was so great. Today we talked to both of them. So we're kind of going backwards doing this intro, but we've chatted with both of them. We cannot wait for you guys to listen to what they have to say. So whole week of what are guys thinking about during sex?
Yes, and 2 very different tones. We have this guy who's married and such an expert in media, the head of one of the biggest men's magazines in the world. And then we have, Jared Freed, a hot, young, single guy. I mean, they're both hot. Hear me out. But Sebastian's kind of hot too.
Yeah. But he's just wonderful. I was like,
okay. Yeah, he popped on the screen. I was like, what's up with you?
Married with 2 children.
Yeah. So 2 very different perspectives. And if you've heard Jared on the show before, he's going to be hysterical. So that will be Thursday. And Michael will be today.
Okay, really quick. I just want to just say one thing about cancer season. You think I forgot? Raina's just sitting here hoping I'll forget.
I'm filibustering the episode.
I just have to say that probably the most DMs I still get about can you remind me which episode this is in? And I still get tagged in so many cancer memes. One of the things that probably took off the most and hit the hardest, and people were like, I crashed my car laughing, was this thing we did on July 1st, 2019. It was an episode with Maria Del Russo called Being Happy, Being Alone, if you want to go back and listen. And I basically talked about how cancers were getting shit on in memes on the internet.
Right.
Heavy with Refinery 29. And people send me cancer memes today, which is so cute and nice, and I appreciate it. And they're like, cancer's not getting attacked anymore. This is a good one. I'm like, here's the deal. It was so egregious at that time. That's why I addressed it. They're fine now. The moment has passed. Refinery 29 had some beef with cancers and they took it out on us for 6 months or whatever. But it was the signs as things in your bathroom. And it would be Virgo, toothbrush and toothpaste. Capricorn, your blow dryer. Leo, your makeup bag. Cancer, the bloody tampon you just took out.
I thought you were going to say the toilet. That's so much worse.
Cancer, the diarrhea in your toilet.
The toilet paper stuck on your shoe.
Cancer. That's your dingleberry. Like it would.
You know when your hair pulls in the drain? That's cancer.
The hair in your drain. Yeah, I was like Sagittarius. Your shiny new shower curtain. Cancer. That ring in the toilet that shows that you need to clean it.
Cancer. That stuff that gets stuck up under the toilet around the rim. Oh, sick.
Yeah. So that's why it was like. So yes, the pie crust was the
pie crust.
It was like all these pies, Cancer, just the crust.
The shell was an empty shell.
Empty shell, empty. We're just empty. So I popped off about it. It has never really been that egregious since, but people ask me all the time, what is that episode? I want to tell my friend, I want my mom to listen, whatever. And so it is July 1st, 2019. And it's cancer season, guys, and look out for those memes. And again, like, I think cancer is like, it's the most people. That's why we get so worked up about this time. It's just a lot of us. We're nothing special.
I think
we're emotional.
Geminis too. There's a lot of us.
We love ourselves.
Well, I'm so happy to hear this another cancer season. Congratulations. I look forward to next cancer season. I look forward to the next 4 weeks of talking about this every week. We have some great recs. You guys have like recommended some shows that we lean into, so we are going to do that. You guys recommended Cruel Summer, and the season finale, as we're recording, was this week. So we will review it next week.
So catch up if you haven't.
Yes.
I love it. Takes place in 93, 94, 95.
Hot ass
I'm a
years.
90s stan. I mean, I lived in it, but I'm a real stan. Like I love the show so much. I never doubted it. People just kept saying, watch Cruel Summer. I'm like, I'm on it.
You know what it was? I feel like the title is fucking stupid, and that's why I didn't really want to watch it. I was like, is this good? The title undersold it.
Yeah.
Cruel Summer. What?
Also, Cruel Summer, I'm pretty certain is an 80s song.
Is it? Okay, Cruel Summer.
By like Bananarama. Like, okay, you know what?
The title was fucking
This is one of those
stupid.
things I'm going to want to go back and look up. So let me just confirm. Cruel Summer song 83. I like that it all takes place in the summer, but like the whole thing is like 90s. It's so 90s. You know, everything's like
so true.
90s nostalgia. But I love the music also. So like, the 90s. Like I remember that when they started playing like a Brandy, like I want to be down. I was like, oh my god! Like I just love the music. Anyway, oh my god, we're reviewing it. We said we weren't going to.
So we're gonna talk about that next week. I love that we're like previewing our reviews. We're like catch up. Also, I'm gonna watch The Housewife and The Hustler streaming on Hulu with Erica Jane and Erica Girardi, Erica Jane. So I'm gonna catch up on that for next week as well.
Okay, we're gonna do a little Younger recap, series finale. So Younger's over.
Ashley has to recap it for me because I just Googled the ending.
Yeah, so spoilers ahead. We're going to keep it short, you know, fast forward ahead 3 to 5 minutes if you don't want to hear this. So spoilers ahead. Oh my gosh. Okay. So they allude to her ending up with Josh. Mm-hmm. He comes in at the very end, the very last scene, and they kind of have a callback of their first moment. She's like waving her shoe at the bartender. Did that happen in the very first episode?
That's the very first episode.
Right. So, which is cute. I like that. But up until literally right before then, it was Richard. It was
what is his
Charles. Name? Richard is bold type. That's where we get tripped up. So, and that's the same energy, like we said. So Charles.
It's the same person.
I hated Charles in this season so much. I was texting people that I knew were watching it, like Sally, this woman that we work with on some stuff, and she's a fan of the show. I saw her post about Younger, and I knew she was watching the current season, and I slid into her DMs immediately. I was like, can we talk about Charles? I fucking hate him. He seems so controlling and like manipulative and just, I mean, I think that's kind of the point, that you don't want to root for him. And I think most people have always rooted for Josh. Well, I don't know. I always have. Some people, if you're team Charles, fine. Like, but something about this last season, he just seemed like, he seemed controlling is the number one word, and like so immovable and just like kind of weirdly manipulative and untrusting. And I know he put up with a lot. I mean, this woman, you know, Liza lied for a huge lie, but I just hated him. I was having a visceral reaction to every scene with him. I was just like, if she ends up with him, and then he just starts dating Quinn in the office, like grow up. Like you don't just come rub your new girlfriend on your old girlfriend's face in the office. Like all of it was really bad. I hated Charles. I'm so glad she ended up with Josh. They buttoned most things up. I like Kelsey. I just think the end felt a little rushed. I never like to like shit on people's art because you can listen to anything we've ever put out and you could be like, I wish they would have done this differently. And it's like, well, we did it how we did it. You know what I mean? So I love the show. I have nothing but respect for the show. At the end felt kind of like they just wanted to get everything done and buttoned up. Like they had one last episode and they were like, well, shit, okay, Kelsey's moving to LA and then yada, yada. And then Lauren's going to have a threesome with this gay couple. And she's going to be in a throuple. And then Josh shows back up. But the only thing, I guess my biggest issue is that up until that point, Liza and Josh had no real chemistry. So it was Charles. Liza and Josh weren't even really having those moments that they used to have prior. Like you didn't feel they didn't tease anything. Yeah. So it was just Charles. And then at the very last moment, Josh, and it's fine because at least they alluded to it. And he said this line, he was like, he came up when she was waving the shoe. And this was really cute. And he said, you really didn't see me there or something? And she's like, I didn't see you. And he goes, I've always been here. Like, I'm right here. Like, I've always been here. Great. I just wish they would have given us a little more Josh. So I just feel like I wish they would have even alluded to that. I think I knew deep in my heart they were going to give us Josh at the end. And she has this moment with Richard, oh my God, Charles and where they thought they were going to make it work. And then they're laying in the bed and she's like, we're not going to work, are we? And I think we've all felt that on such a deep level. Like you get back with your ex and then you're like, you're back together. You're feeling so good about it for like days or weeks or months. And then you have the moment of like, it's actually not going to work. It hit me pretty hard. I mean, I love the show. So anyway, that's my younger review. Hated Charles, and then I'm glad it ended up being Josh.
Well, his whole vibe was like, marry me or I'm out. And I don't think that's what I'm saying. I do think that like we have to look at it from both sexes. Like I don't like it from a man, but like women do that also, where they say like, here's an ultimatum, you marry me. That's what I want. That's my bottom line. But I think her bottom line was like, I don't want to get married right now. Here's my reason for it. Like, I don't know that we always like throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, well, if the only reason that you don't want to be with me is because I might not marry you, is that fair either? And it's like he drew such a hard line, and I was just like, oh, I don't care.
I hated it. And then it was just like, also for two people that have been married before, like. Yeah, they've been married. It's weird to pressure somebody that's like, I did this and I don't want to do it again, but I do love you and want to be with you. And like, what's the point? I have kids, you have kids. We're not going to have kids. This feels like very controlling and like manipulative to need this, especially knowing that we're not going to have more children together. Whatever.
It's okay. So the last thing we'll say about this, and we can move on. It's funny. So I was like, I'm done with the show. I'll Google the ending. So I Googled it, and the most reported on thing from the ending of Younger is they sort of like breeze by. They're like, yeah, they allude to her name with Josh, blah, blah. Richard Charles is not really mentioned at all. Every single article talks about how Diana is nowhere to be found. That's the only thing anyone's talking about.
Okay. So I love Diana and I missed her, but what they gave us in lieu of Diana was more Lauren, and I can take more Lauren always. So Lauren basically took Diana's position, which is like, okay, sure, Lauren's running the magazine. So Lauren, it's a lot more Lauren.
I love Lauren.
So, cool. I'm kind of like, I miss Diana's energy. I'm sure she just didn't want to be a part of the show, or I don't know what went down. They Zoomed with her once. She's basically on her honeymoon in Italy. But I really like Diana's relationship. So I liked her. She was like with the plumber or whatever.
Right. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you for butting that up.
Tons of Lauren, which I'm like, I would watch a Lauren's. I think they were talking about a Kelsey spinoff. I want a Lauren spinoff.
100%. Well, I'm not, listen, Hilary Duff, she's not my cup of tea as an actress. Again, I don't want to like shit on people. I don't hate her. She's just not my favorite actress in the world.
Yeah.
So I would watch a Lauren spinoff.
Yeah. Give us Lauren.
So stay tuned for next week. We're going to do Cruel Summer, which I'm very excited about. We wanted to tell you like a funny story about what happened at the dinner last night. And okay, I'm going to let Ashley like tell you from her perspective. But from my perspective, what happened was we went out to dinner, just so you guys know, with our business managers. Ashley and I had a dinner date with them, and I left my guy at home who's staying with me in New York this week. And what had happened was last night, they announced that New York City was lifting all mandates from COVID, that we hit 72% of vaccinated people in the city. I'm gonna like cry talking about it. In California too, and they're lifting all the mandates, and it's like so special. And of course in public, on transit and in schools, you have to wear masks. But having lived here through the pandemic, it's a very special, very amazing moment for me and so many people. And to just see the city come back to life, it's very important. Anyways, they announced that they were going to do fireworks at 9 p.m. I knew that Ashley and I were still going to be at dinner at 9 p.m. We'd probably miss it. So I texted my boyfriend. I was like, you should go to the roof and see the fireworks. I'm not going to be home, but like you go enjoy.
Yeah.
And that was it. Put my phone away, and like we continued to have dinner.
I mean, I don't even know if I'm that clear to tell the story. I had 3 tequilas. So basically your neighbor, right, texted you?
I can read you the text.
Yeah. Which came first? A text from your man or a text from your elder neighbors? Which we've talked about this before, but Raina basically became very close with her neighbors on her floor during the quarantine, and they're all like, could be your mom. And I love it.
Okay. So all the texts I'm getting like one text every 2 minutes from him. I said, did you go up there? He said, yep, a couple of folks up here, and now just a few more people came up. Okay, now a bunch of people showed up. Then he said, there's a block party that just broke out on your roof. Then he said, 1 minute later, I've joined the party. And then like 30 seconds later, he says to me, and he says, the name of my neighbor that I slept with is here with me.
Call him Paul.
Paul is here.
Which is so insane. Because if you guys remember, Raina's boyfriend met Paul in the lobby one day. It was like, you fucked that guy, didn't you? And he could feel the heat, or not the heat, the tension.
And the interaction was so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like he was like, is that guy have formed senses? And he's wearing like a hat with a feather in it and like a dragon jacket. Like, this is so weird. And I kept being like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I swear to God. And I used to be like, I've told him like, I can't talk to this guy. You can't host a conversation with this guy. There's just nothing coming out of him. And though I get as a text from my other neighbor on the roof with
Kyle and Paul.
Paul, come. I brought him into the crew, LOL. I didn't even know who he was at the time.
Which is just so crazy that there's this rooftop celebration happening and your boyfriend, Kyle, and your
Paul
neighbor who you used to fuck and tried to ghost during a quarantine, Paul, are up there together. Paul's new girlfriend was with him.
Paul's new girlfriend was with him. And my boyfriend is on the roof with them alone by himself. He doesn't know any of these people. He's hanging out with all of them. Everybody's asking him questions.
And Raina goes, we gotta go.
We gotta go.
We were wrapping up, but I was like, I'm coming. We had an earlier dinner, so it's like close to 9. I was excited to walk home. The weather's been perfect this week. I was like so excited to walk home, walk off the meal. And I was like, I'm getting in the car with you, girl.
Also, it was like a 12-minute walk and a 6-minute car ride. And we're like, we're taking a car. So we had to like rush back to see it. It was fine by the time we got there. But I guess they hadn't interacted. So this morning he said to me, he's like, I got to ask you a question. He's like, for real, how did you interact with that guy? And I was like, I don't know. He was like, I literally tried. He was like, I was asking him questions and he would just give me like a 1-word answer and like just drift off into space. Like he just wasn't like having it. And he goes, conversating with him was so bad that I was like second guessing myself, being like, am I just really bad at this?
Yeah.
And if Raina dated him, like, what am I like?
Okay, Raina, you probably were drinking more than normal because of this. I think you only could hang out with him drunk.
Oh,
you
yeah.
were like,
I didn't date him either. We were just sleeping together.
But you like, when I was dating Two Shirt Trent, I was like, I have to stop going out with him because I'm developing an alcohol dependency on dating him because he was so boring and he was so hard to talk to, but I did kind of like the sex and he lived it really close. He was like convenient.
Yeah, it's convenient.
But I was like, I can't go out with him anymore because I'm really also was like so much younger. I drank more anyway. I was feeling like I needed to literally be drunk to hang out with him. And I just feel like every time you've ever hung out with Paul, you've been like, I was wasted.
I was
and you'll just
hammered.
Like, there's no more situation in your life I would have loved to be a fly on the wall because I picture you basically having two sides of a conversation and you're just talking and Paul is just doing nothing except when he was singing. I'm playing guitar.
He like sings and I know where to look and it's just like he's like a nice person, I guess, but like you ever in Goodfellas, I forget what the thing is, it's like he's content to be a jerk. There's a saying in Italian and like that's how I feel about Paul. He's content to be a jerk. You know, some people are just socially awkward. I think this guy is like really smart and just has no interest in participating in a conversation with anyone. I don't think he's jealous of my boyfriend. That's why he wasn't talking to him. Yeah. I don't think he cares. So I was like, I didn't date him. I was drunk every time. But it's like, so what are the odds that he's like alone on my roof and they all end up together?
I know. I was like, this is so funny. And it just was so funny that it came from like your neighbor, like your, these neighbors, I love them all. They're so like New York, middle-aged. I mean, their mothers, all
Jews.
of them are, are they all Jews? I mean, I just love their energy. And Ashley, they're all small. They're so small. Raina looked tall next to one of them. I was like, look at this model. Raina just looked like this long, leggy model. I'm like, these are your friends. I like was so happy to meet them. I did not know your quarantine friends.
Yeah, Ashley just met my quarantine friends last night. And everybody knows her because they all listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
So that was funny. We're excited to tell you guys about it.
So like we said, we're talking about what guys think about during sex, and we have some submissions from you guys. But first, do you have a story of like anything in this vein or something? Okay. Go
I
on.
have been like trying to figure out when I was going to tell you this.
Oh my God.
I was going to submit it as a listener email.
Okay. This next one comes from Raina?
Yeah, this one comes from me. I was going to submit it as a listener email and like have you laugh about it because I should have done it. Whatever, I don't care. So like what was he thinking? So I've been meaning to tell you this for. Okay, so I was like hooking up with my guy in the living room one day. We're like on the couch.
This is your current guy.
This current guy.
Oh God.
I've been like, I told him I was going to tell a story. Whatever.
Okay,
it was so weird. We were hooking up on the couch. We like start making out. We get naked. He had a hat on. The hat like fell onto the couch. So we're like naked. We're hooking up, and he like stands up butt naked, and I start like blowing him.
Okay.
So I'm in the middle of a blowjob, and he leans over, and I'm like, why is he stopping me? He picks up the hat from the couch and puts his hat on. And just backwards cap, butt naked, just picked his hat up, put it on his head, and I just finished the blowjob. I don't know why he did it. I don't know why he did it. I was like, was your head cold? Because he's bald. He was like, he was like in the moment, it like seemed like it was going to be a cool thing to do. I was like,
did he put it on backwards or frontwards?
He put it on backwards.
He did not pick up his hat and put it on backwards mid blowjob. No, he didn't. I am picturing him. He like just puts it on like, oh. The fact that it was backwards, but then also if it was frontwards, I feel like that's so like roll tide. So you know, dirty. Like he's got like a guy puts on his hat.
Like, what were you cold? He was butt naked getting a blowjob. Stopped me to put the hat on.
No,
and I continued.
Is it a lucky hat? He's like, I gotta wear my hat. Like that is so funny. You know, I wear my literally don't care hat all the time. Can you see some guys eating my pussy? I'm like, excuse me.
That would be so funny.
Or my vibes only hat.
If you put on I literally don't care in the middle of sex, I would laugh so hard. Please do that. I've been meaning to tell you this for so long, for like 3 weeks. I'm
so glad you saved it for this. So he didn't know what he was thinking.
He didn't know what he was
just
thinking.
Thought it would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, he just thought like cool thing to tell my friends I did.
Oh my God.
So I was like, what were you thinking? And he was like, nothing. I literally don't know. I saw it. It just seemed like something to do at the time.
He needs to be more in the zone. I don't even like that you were blowing him. It's one of your great talents.
Thank you.
And he even had the mind to think to do it. I think he needs to focus more on the pleasure that you're kind enough to give him.
Let him know, but he can come from a blowjob, thank God. You know, some guys are out here making you like suck their dick for like 20 minutes. I'm not trying to like, we've talked about this before. I'm not trying to finish a blowjob ever. I just want to like suck a little bit. 5 minutes tops. I'm done.
Yeah.
So finish or don't, but get out of here.
Finish or don't. You did blow him to completion. We talked about it when you were like bleeding.
Yeah, all over the place. Completion yesterday. Killing it.
Okay.
Okay.
So you do both.
Yeah, I do both. But only with him because he like doesn't make me do it for that long.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely had those moments. I talk about this all the time, but I did have a guy that like just he was like rubbing his dick between my butt cheeks and then came on my back. And when he was doing it, and I found out later he was a born again virgin, but when he was doing it, I remember thinking like, what is he doing back there? Like what? And like,
I never know what she's doing back there.
What he's doing back there. Mom, the meatloaf. So later I found out that was his way of like getting off because he was a born again virgin. Mm-hmm. But in the moment I remember being like, what is going on? And I was like younger and he was older than me. I was like, didn't know, it was like the one time I ever didn't fuck a younger guy. But I thought this was really funny because we'll get to it, like what girls think guys are thinking. And I had sex with this guy. This was like, but right before the pandemic, I went on a date with this guy, and it was the first time that we slept together later that night. But I went on a date with this guy, and as we were walking home, we had like this all night date, and we were like, let's get a slice of pizza. Like we'd been walking around the city, we went to some comedy clubs. It was a really fun date, and I was like, let's just go to Baker's and get a slice of pizza. And they were closing. It was late. I mean, it was probably like 1 or 2 in the morning. We'd been out, and they gave us a whole pie. They were like, just take this whole pie, which is something that probably happens more often than not. If you show up to, they don't want to waste it. So they just gave us a whole pizza and we were like, oh my God, sick. So we like came home and set the pizza like on the counter and then started making out and like started hooking up. And Raina, it was the first time we fucked. I could not stop thinking about the pizza. I don't blame you. I had a pit in my stomach. I hadn't eaten that much. We had just gotten light apps at Bua hours prior.
I don't blame you.
I couldn't stop thinking about the pizza. And the way that interaction went down, which we would later have like really good sex, and I really enjoyed having sex with him. But the first time was nothing, out of the ordinary. We had been drinking a lot. I kind of knew going in I wasn't going to come just because I was kind of drunk or whatever. So now as I was thinking about this earlier, I realized kind of what else was at play here, because basically he went down on me, tried to go down on me, and I was like, just stop. I'm just so numbed out when I've been drinking.
That's how I feel.
We're drinking all night. So I was like, don't worry about doing that. And then just kind of, we fucked missionary, and I was literally like, God, I'm just hungry. And I was like, basically in some way or another, just was like, just finish. Like I said it in like I just was like, I'm not going to get off. I look back on it, I was like, I can't believe I never got on top. Getting on top is my thing. I didn't show him any flair. Like I was just like, you can.
Okay, whatever. It's 2 a.m. and I have a full pizza in my kitchen. That is the only thing I'm thinking about.
Yes, but he was like, he does comedy, and he later told me that he wrote a bit about the best night that this girl was like, don't eat my pussy, just come, and here's some pizza. Like I was like, yeah, what an amazing night for you.
Yeah, what an amazing night you curated.
He didn't have to really go down on me that much. He got off, and then we just ate a whole pizza. I'm like, what an amazing night for you.
Curated an experience.
And then I think the next time we had sex, we also got pizza, and I remember getting a text from him like even the next day or a couple days later, and he was like, I just walked by a pizza place and got hard. Was this your plan? But I was like, it's such a thing. I think so many women are probably thinking about food.
Snacks. I am usually thinking about at least my to-do list, if not the snacks.
But a whole pie waiting for you.
It would kill me to know that was happening.
And just kind of like, I mean, that doesn't happen all the time. I like to be in the moment and don't want to
be. That doesn't happen all the time.
The fact that I was like kind of drank a lot, knew I wasn't going to get off. It's a brand new person. There's a pizza waiting. I could smell the aroma. I was just like, just do it. Just finish. And I like went the next day. I was like so worried about it. I was like, does he think I'm bad in bed? Because I just laid there.
He probably was thinking a little bit of the same thing too, though.
The pizza.
Yes, the pizza. Listen, I can't have like a full meal just hanging out in the fridge and not knowing when this is going to end. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, you guys submitted what you think guys are thinking in bed. So we're going to pop off about a few of these and then we're going to bring Michael in. Do you want to start?
Okay. I'll just read a few. Okay. This is, again, nothing confirmed. This is like what women's guesses are, or maybe they know for sure. Maybe they've asked around. Maybe they asked their partner. Maybe they just know. Maybe they're born with the knowledge. Okay. What TV show we're going to watch after? That's kind of funny. If you're talking about it, you're fucking, you're like, what should we watch after this? What he's going to eat after. Mm-hmm. Dang, this dick isn't really doing the job. That's a shame if a guy's thinking that. Literally nothing except where the cum is going to go. Probably don't come, don't come, don't come. Don't fart, don't fart, don't fart, don't fart. So many don't farts.
So many don't farts.
Do you think guys even care? They're like, if I fart, I fart.
It has never crossed my mind. Am I going to fart during sex? Does it cross your mind?
No, I don't really. It's never really crossed my mind. I mean, I also I don't know if I felt like super gassy, like I couldn't hold in my farts. I probably just would be like, can we hold off?
Now I'm thinking about the food I have in the fridge. I'm trying to get out of here. If I get home and somebody's eating that food, that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
Also really quick, literally nothing except where the cum is going to go. We talked about this with Jared and we didn't, but after we finished recording, and it's not that big a deal, but just like tell a guy where the cum should go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Unless if you're wearing a condom,
right?
If you're wearing a condom,
no. I had a guy finish inside of me once, not ask, and I was furious,
livid.
Like, how dare you?
But women, like if you're wearing a condom, no big deal. You're finishing in the condom. If you're raw dogging it, like tell a guy where to come.
Yeah, if he doesn't ask, tell him.
Yeah,
like come in my tits. Don't come inside of me. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not weird either, by the way.
I'll just usually say, don't come inside of me. Just say hi.
Yeah, I'll say, don't come inside of me.
You might think it doesn't sound sexy. Who cares? It's better than some guy just coming inside of you. Then you're like, God damn it.
Yeah, this just cost me $60. Plan B. Okay. Why the fuck does she have a picture of her grandma above the bed?
Oh my God.
Can my roommate hear us? His ex.
Yikes.
When they need to cut the grass. For the love of God, please don't queef. So that's what she's thinking.
So a lot about queefing. Yeah. Nobody cares about queefing. It's air and inside the pussy. And if we did a whole episode on this, we deep dove on queefing, and the episode is from March 2020, and it's called My Nudes, My Rack, My Pussy, and My Crack.
The beginning of the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, so queefs are, nobody cares. If you're like a chronic queefer and you're like, I just keep queefing, like talk to your doctor, but like... we've gotten to the age, I think most guys know that it's just like, we said that if you queef, you tell them that means the sex is good. It's like a chef's kiss. Don't worry about queefing.
Don't worry. It's fine. They're just tell them that they hit it so hard that like your pussy was gasping for air. And then finally, why am I so sweaty? That is so funny. I have a lot of friends that probably feel like that. I have sweaty friends.
Have you dated guys that were like really sweaty? And like, so I dated a couple guys that were very sweaty, and a few of those guys were like self-conscious about it.
A person that I am friends with now that I slept with is the sweatiest person I've ever met. But he wasn't so bad in bed. But I think he probably does get in his head a little bit about it, how sweaty he gets.
Guys that are really sweaty usually shower, they like kind of handle their sweat, and it doesn't usually smell bad. Like also guys that I've dated that were sweaters, when they sweat, they just smelled like their deodorant, which I love the smell of men's deodorant. I'll sniff it and get wet right now.
I don't mind like a men's sweat smell either.
I know.
I think it's kind of hot. All right. You want to round us out?
Okay. What are guys thinking about? Their grandma, so they don't finish too early. Oof, yikes. Crypto and closing deals. My perfect tits and this wet ass pussy.
Yeah,
that's what they should be thinking about.
That is what they're thinking about.
There's two right answers. Their last two. Probably the crypto too.
And don't come.
Don't come.
Honestly, if you're thinking about like buying some crypto stuff, like you should spend that money on me.
Have you ever had a guy fart during sex?
No, I've never personally. I have never farted during sex or queefed. And I've never had anybody fart or queef. Or I mean, I guess guys don't queef. No, never, ever. Yeah. And I've had a lot of sex.
I had a guy that I was newly dating fart for the first time right before we had sex. Like it was the first fart. Like you'll never forget that first fart. And I remember my first fart was when we were staying at one of my friend's house, and I was walking up the stairs and one just slipped out. I was mortified right in his face. He was right behind me.
Do you ever fart in a room and you're like, you think it's safe? Like you fart in the kitchen, you're like, they're never going to come in here. And then 2 seconds later, they find a reason to be in the kitchen and you're like, no.
No one's going to know. No one's going to know.
No one's going to know. And then you're like, I did it.
I did it. All right. Well, those are what you guys think. We're going to debunk some of these. Of course, everyone is different. You can't group all people of all gender, sexual orientation, whatever together. But, most people kind of fall inside the bell curve.
All right, guys, we are so excited to welcome our guest today. Advertising Age named him to its annual 40 Under 40 list. He has been the editor-in-chief of Esquire Magazine since 2019, where he oversees all print and digital content, strategy, and operations. He is a New Jersey stan and a new Girls Gotta Eat fanboy. Please welcome to the show, Michael Sebastian.
Thank you for having me. I'm honestly thrilled to be here. And yes, I am a New Jersey stan. So a recent New Jersey stan. So yes. So thanks again.
Yes, we just chatted with you and we updated your bio in real time to include Girls Gotta Eat. Man fan is what we call.
We sell merch. Man fan.
Yeah, GG. We'll send you a GG man fan. Yeah, we got you.
Honestly, Bella. I will wear the shit out of that. I promise.
Okay, Bella. Yeah, Bella make a note. We have our assistant.
That's our assistant. Yeah, send Michael a GG man fan.
Well, yes. We are so excited to have you here today, and you did a little research. You prepped. You listened to the episodes. We're so flattered.
Yeah.
Oh no, honestly, it was my pleasure. Some of the best research I feel like I've gotten to do lately, and I truly love this podcast now. So I mean, after this, I'm going to be You've got a fan in me now, right? So I'm a fan. I'm a man fan. When
can we grace the cover? Just let us know. We'll show up the cover of Esquire.
Absolutely. Let's talk about
it. Okay. Write that down, Bella.
Make a note of that. Also, thank you so much.
So I'm just, we're going to talk about the sex stuff that people want to hear, but I'm just a little curious about your journey to become the editor of Esquire. Like, have you always been a freelance writer? Have you always written for men's publications? Do you cover sex and dating? Like, I'm just kind of curious of your history in the space.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for asking. So I started as a newspaper reporter in Chicago, like 20 years ago, something like not quite 20 years ago, close to that. And then, so it kind of a circuitous journey, but then ended up at Hearst magazines by like 2015, where I was the news director of the entire magazine group. And so that just meant that was kind of a role where I worked with a bunch of magazines and everything else. And then I became, after that, digital director of Esquire Magazine. And I was very kind of passionate about bringing this brand. Esquire is an 88-year-old brand this year, right? And it's incredibly iconic. It's a heritage American brand. And I am obsessed with making sure that this brand kind of goes into is firmly in the 21st century and lasts another 88 years and is as relevant today as it was in kind of all of its golden eras in recent, in the last 88 years. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of my mandate when I was digital director. And then in 2019, I became editor-in-chief, which just meant I oversaw the whole thing. So to answer your question though about, whether I've written for men's magazines, no, actually, I am a reader. I was a longtime reader of men's magazines, but I was never like one of the kind of mainstays in men's magazines by any stretch of the imagination. And to your question about sex and dating, so it's interesting that Esquire has long written about sex and relationships and dating and men and women, everything like that. But what's interesting is that, a few years ago, we kind of stopped. And I think it was because we had to think about how we were going to address the issue, right? Because we've done a lot of great writing about sex and dating and women by some amazing writers. Nora Ephron wrote for Esquire Magazine in the 70s. We've also done a lot of bad writing about that too. And a lot of writing that has probably,
not aged well.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good way of putting it. So we wanted to think long and hard about how we were going to do this. So in the spring, we did a whole issue that was kind of our return to this and return to writing about sex and dating and relationships and everything else. One of the things that we did was we partnered with Cosmopolitan Magazine on a big sex survey. Jess was on your show not long ago.
Yeah.
And then we had just a number of essays from both men and women that were about their kind of experience in the dating world, in relationships, when it comes to sex, both when it came to the pandemic and beyond the pandemic as well. And I think that right now for us is the best way forward, is just to hear from the many perspectives of men and women. And I think the way that I'm trying to think about it is that for pretty much its entire existence, Esquire was obsessed with what women thought about men, right? So there was columns that were written by women, many of them famous, that tried to explain to men what was in their heads. I'm interested in that, but I'm also obsessed with what's in men's heads. And the reason I say that,
that's why you're here that.
Right. And so we have that in common because, men don't talk about things directly, right? Like when I sit around and talk with my guy friends, we talk about music and sports and TV, and we talk shit to each other and all that stuff. And we don't come at something head on. We're talking about these things that are important, the same things that you talk about, but just you're doing it in a more direct way, and we're doing it in a more roundabout way, right? And so I just want to get inside their heads. I want to put it down on the page and on the website and everything else, so that guys can read those stories and know that they're not freaks. I'm normal, right? I'm just like all these other guys. Yep. I think that's something that you the two of you do so brilliantly as well, which is that you I don't know, if you feel like you make your listeners feel like it's okay the way I feel, whatever, like
normalize all the stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do when it comes to that topic.
Yeah, we think that's really important too. And honestly, I think some of the beauty of our show, a lot of you, is that people listen to it and get to hear like, oh, I am quote unquote normal. Other people feel like this. And I think that's what connects us all. And so today we have you here to talk about what men think about in the bedroom. And you've done some research. We can talk about your own personal life if you want. You're married, so you certainly don't have to. But, a friend of mine said jokingly to me last week about what men want, what men are thinking in bed. He was like, the only thing we're thinking is, I can't believe I get to have sex. But we know that it's a little deeper than that sometimes, and that men have insecurities like women do. And, so our listeners want to know, all kinds of things. Do you have insecurities? Do you think about your body? Do you think about their body, what they're saying, et cetera? We could run through some stuff, but that's what you're here to talk about today.
I just want to say that your friend is incredibly accurate, right? I've been married to my wife for 11 years and together more than that. I'm very blessed. God, I hate when people say that I'm very blessed.
Sometimes it's the only word.
Let me take that back. I'm lucky. Let me just say I'm lucky. I'm lucky enough that I feel like we kind of came together in a way that was really good during the pandemic, right? And just because our lives had gone in all kinds of directions, we both had big jobs. We have 2 kids, and it was just like we were going in all different directions. And this really gave us an opportunity to just sort of focus on each other and our daughters and our family and everything else. And so it was good in that sense, right? But to your friend's point, my wife and I have had sex many times. And yet every time I think the exact same thing, right? I think, I can't believe I get to have sex with her.
Yeah.
So that never goes away. At least I hope it never goes away.
So I think that that's probably pretty calming for a lot of women that are in their heads and they're thinking, what does he think about my breasts, my stomach, what my angle? Can you see my double chin? And I think that it makes it really hard for like women to have orgasms. At least it did for me. Like when I first became sexually active, I couldn't focus like on my pleasure because I was focused so much on their pleasure and what does my body look like and what are they thinking about while they're looking at my body. And it's hard to be in a relaxed state where you can get off.
Yeah. So I know that you're supposed to be asking the questions, but I'm curious, how did you overcome that?
I think just with age, I got a little more confident. I think that we would both have different answers, but as I got older, I just realized like my body looks great. I work hard to look like this. This is what it's supposed to look like. I think this person's in bed with me because they want to be. I think that this feels good and this is fun. Let's relax. I mean, I think also like if you're nervous, a personality drink doesn't always hurt. But I like to just lean into feeling confident. And I think with age, you just get a little more confident and feel more comfortable. And also like practice makes perfect. I fucked a lot of dudes. So I got better at it as I did it more.
Yeah. And just kind of like learning these things that like guys aren't judging, the way your body like looks or feels, like the way that you are, like the way that you look at your body and pick it apart and pick out your insecurities. That's nobody else is doing that.
Yeah.
Nobody else is doing that in the bedroom. No one else is doing that on Instagram, like the way that you would do it to yourself.
On a beach, no one cares about you as much as you care about you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 100% true. And I also want to just be like perfectly clear with everybody that's listening, which is that men whom I've spoken to, both for this and not for this, are not judging the bodies of the women that they are having sex with while that's happening, or really at all. I mean, it really does go back to this idea that we're just thrilled to be having sex in the first place, right? And if we're having sex with you, that's because we think you are we think you're hot, you're sexy, right? And so, like, if anything, it's probably the opposite of what you're worried about, which is that we're looking at you going, fuck, she's hot, And so it's something that I can't like be emphatic enough is in that men are not thinking about that at all. You use a term on your podcast that I thought was really interesting was, when you refer to when you get horny or something like that, when you're ready to have sex, it's like, who is this girl, right? It's like a stranger to you.
I don't know her. Yeah.
I don't know her. That's right. That's what you said. And I think that there is actually a real element of that when it comes to men as well, which is like, where once we're in that setting, it's like, who is this guy, And so that guy is definitely not thinking like, judging in any way. Let's put it that way.
What about in terms of just body? Like, are guys taking off your underpants and going like, I can't believe she didn't shave in the last 3 days? Like,
look, here's the thing is that if they are, then they're, I think, pretty fucking shallow dudes. And they're not. And like I said, if they are, then I don't know if you want to be fucking them in the first place. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And then we got a lot of responses of guys just thinking like, they're just worried they're going to come too quickly. Like, it's like, is this thing of guys like thinking about baseball or like counting to 100? Like, is that real or is that like a ancient myth?
So there's an interesting nuance, I think, to this, right? Which is that, so the straightforward answer is, yes, they are doing that. They are definitely like, I don't know if they're thinking about baseball or they're counting backwards or something like that, but they're definitely thinking to themselves, don't come, right? So that, in whatever form that takes.
Okay.
I think the interesting thing, though, is men in their 20s, teens, I suppose, probably getting into their 30s, they experience a lot of that. There's something, and this is where the nuance comes from, I think, is that there's something that happens once you get a bit older, right? Where I'm 40 years old, and I think that I have no problem sort of being there with my wife in that moment, And in fact, when you are a bit older and you've just got so much on your fucking mind all the time, you know what I mean? That like, it's actually really nice to then focus on that one thing that you're doing. And like, it's interesting because the worries that you would have had as a young man are actually kind of gone at that point, because it's like, it's almost like the way I suppose some people meditate or do yoga, you know, or when you work out or go for a run or something like that, you're able to clear your mind. Like that's, I don't know. I think once you get a bit older, kind of sex can become that in a way.
So what would you say, like as a young man comes up a lot that like sort of dissipates as you get older?
Am I doing this right? Don't come.
Oh,
Don't come.
So let me. So this is a very specific question that I had asked some men about, right? So certainly, I feel like we're playing the Family Feud or something like that. Like, but one of the top answers was certainly like, I don't want to come too quickly. That was one of them. Mm-hmm. Another one was, and I think that like 2 and 3 are sort of related, right? Because one is, am I any good? Am I good at this? Like, you know, and also it's funny that women are thinking about, you know, oh God, is this man judging me? Is he thinking about my body and so on? And, you know, men are thinking that as well. Maybe not about their, you know, some about their bodies, right? But others are thinking like, was that grown legitimate? Is she enjoying this? Is she, you know, is she like faking all of this? Like what's going on here? And so the guys are definitely inside their heads when it comes to those kinds of things. So I would say that those are probably the top 3 right there that are.
And I think that's where women can come in. And I mean, not everybody is good at dirty talk, for example, but just like general encouragement, positive reinforcement. That's the word I'm looking for. Just like small things you can say, like, you know, start slow. Like, I love the way you feel, like things like anything you can kind of encourage. I think that goes such a long way. Just hearing like, I am doing this right. Like sitting here knowing that, and this, we heard this too. We hear this from our guy friends too, of like, men can be on a loop of like, am I doing this right? I hope she's liking this. I hope she's liking this. I hope that I'm, you know, pleasing her. So I think women can just always let them know you are, you know. Right. I've been in situations where when I decide to say something like that, you know, positive reinforcement, immediately I feel like you feel a shift that the person is like more in the moment. And I just think it's so interesting that like men are like, don't come. The women are like, please let me come. Like, let me have an orgasm. Like, how fucked up is it that's how it's, men are like, don't do it. And women are like, how can I have it happen? I just want it to happen. Right. Can I move my body? Can I, you know, it's like completely opposite pages. And so the secret is just both people just being in that moment. If you can get there and like stop being on the loop.
You brought up a woman, you know, kind of offers a word of encouragement or something like that. Can I turn that around for a second and say, is that what women want to hear as well? I mean, do women want to hear that from men? I mean, what do you want to hear in the bedroom?
I mean, there's a broad spectrum, right? Every person is like a size fits one in the bedroom, right?
But no. You have to speak monolithically.
So if I'm speaking for all women on earth, I mean, we all want to feel desirable, right? That can take a different form. So like whether, I mean, Ashley always jokes she wants to hear this. She's like funny.
No, I want to hear like you feel so good. Yeah. Like things. Yeah. I want to hear amazing. A thing. Yeah. You're so sexy.
You know what I don't want to hear is like, you made me come harder than anyone else ever has. I don't want to hear than anyone else ever. I don't want to think about you ever doing this. But other than that, like you look so sexy, you feel so good. Any positive encouragement towards me to let me know that you're excited. And also I think that's very helpful in getting people out of their heads. And I have a friend who told me she's never had an orgasm with a sexual, like a penetrative orgasm. Sorry. And my first question was like, you know, do you have a hard time getting out of your head about how you look? So I think that can help people right out of the gate to feel good. And that obviously like always goes both ways. I am curious what you think. I'm just going to pitch something to you for you to talk about all men. Women thinking to themselves, like, am I being creative enough? Do we need to be in 4 different positions? Do I need to say all kinds of wild shit? And I know every man is different, but you know, for people, they're like, am I interesting or exciting enough? Like, what do you think men would say? Like, do they want you to be more creative? I don't know. I guess, does that make sense?
No. It does make sense. Sorry.
Am I boring? Like, I guess, you know what I mean? Like you know, we've all seen so much porn and, you know, I'm like, am I exciting enough? You know? And it's like, right. Listen, if you're just laying there on your back every time, no, you're not, right. You know, get on top, do something else. Like nobody wants missionary 100% of the time. I don't think.
Right.
Yeah. So, I guess that's it. Am I like doing enough? Am I bringing enough to the table?
Do I need to throw this leg behind my head? You know, but do you guys even care?
To answer your question, yes, I do. Guys do care. certainly. But I don't think that there's, do this, do that, like that kind of thing. I mean, what I think it all comes down to is this sort of like connection with the person, right? Because if I mean, maybe it's the same position every time, but if both parties seem like fully engaged in what they're doing and they're talking to each other, and I mean, not chatty, but like saying the things that we were just talking about, and that there's kind of just a general enthusiasm for what's happening, I feel like that goes a long way. And then that can kind of manifest itself, right, into variety of positions or whatever you want to say. So I think that, yes, to answer your question, yes, guys are thinking about that, but it doesn't have to be some kind of wild thing and like recreating whatever porn film that is in their head.
It can just be getting on top. I think women, especially if you have body insecurities, you're like, I'm going to get on top and then like my titties are going to be flopping and my stomach's going to be, and it's like, I don't know. I think every guy loves that view. Like, that's just no guy's ever been like, oh, she got on top and then her tits were just flopping everywhere and she had a stomach roll. Like no guy's ever said that.
Literally no guy has ever said that.
They're not looking at your chin. Like
No.
I've never heard a guy say that in my life. And I love the advice also, like, as long as you're not just laying there, like I don't need acrobatics. And that's just me in the bedroom. Like I do like a little bit of creativity. I like dirty talk. I like different positions. But as long as a person is present and they seem excited, the opposite of what Ashley said, lay on your back and just take it basically. I don't need to contort my body into some Kama Sutra pretzel to come. So I just want the person I'm with to like be excited and say
enthusiasm.
Yeah, just with some enthusiasm and be present. And I think that really goes a long way.
Yeah, exactly. Present. I didn't use that word. You use that word. That's a great word, right?
Thanks.
Like is to be like present in there and then like excited and enthusiastic and everything else.
We got so many, we crowdsourced this. We wanted to know what people wanted to know. And then I think men jumped in. My brother submitted an answer, which we didn't need to see. But he's actually...
Mine did it because he doesn't even care about me.
My brother wants to have children like soon, and he just got married. And so he is thinking a little bit different. Like, I feel like maybe men are like, God, I hope I don't get her pregnant. My brother's like, please let me get her pregnant, But people kind of misinterpreted our question, which is no fault of their own, but they were kind of saying things that men think during sex and guessing what men think about during sex. And so many people said that I think men and women are thinking about what am I going to eat after this, which is a funny thing. But like, if you really are thinking about that, you are not present. So like, I don't know the answer, but if your mind is wandering and you're like full George Costanza, like what kind of sandwich am I going to have after this? Like try to bring it back to some, I don't know the answer, but like focus on a titty or focus on the way it feels. Like direct your brain to your private area.
I mean, part of the answer is don't have sex. You don't feel like having sex, right? Like
if you're hungry.
Like go do something else. I don't always want to have sex. I had sex this morning. It was like fine, but like we didn't have sex yesterday. I just gave him a blowjob, and today I was like, all right, well, we didn't. This is too much information for you. But today I was like, I think we should have sex, but I wasn't as into it as I usually am. So I can't recommend doggy style enough. Also,
you can be on your phone. I just loved. No, I'm just kidding. I used to do a bit that I could just do doggy and be on Instagram, but I've never actually done it, but it's on my bucket list.
I have a question, and our listeners asked, I think this is like great. What about lingerie? Do you guys care what you're wearing, what your panties look like?
Do they even notice at all?
So this is, I feel like this answer is almost feels canned in a way, but it's not, right? So the answer is that if the lingerie is, and this is something that I also crowdsourced after seeing the questions that you sent, right? If the lingerie is fantastic, if it's something that like you went out and bought and you can tell that you really feel confident and comfortable in it and look really sexy, then like absolutely, then the guy is going to not only notice but be like turned on by that, right? At the same time, if you're just wearing your kind of everyday underwear or something like that, like honestly, dudes are even turned on by that to an extent too, because I think it's just like they're just so grateful to be in this situation that it's like, I get, because there's just something like in a guy's brain, right, that goes back to that like that moment when they just right after they go through puberty where it's just like, I get to see a bra. Like there's just some like, excitement about that. And so I don't think if you're feeling self-conscious, like, oh, this is like the bra I wear every day or something like that, like, trust me, there are guys, many of them, most of them, who are thinking like, sweet, a bra. I love it.
I do wear the same bra like almost every day. It's like, who would even care about that? It's coming off anyways. But I also like the other side of the coin where you're saying, like, if you feel sexy and there's effort, then like that's great too. Like either one's fine.
Well, and I think that whether men realize it or not, however evolved they are, they pick up on energy of if you are confident. So like if you put something on, you spent hundreds of dollars in this fancy lingerie and you had to strap yourself into it for an hour. And now you're like stressed and sweating and you're uncomfortable and you try to put a heel on, like they might not even realize, but they're picking up on like a nervous, uncomfortable energy. I think for women, it's like, do what you feel comfortable in because your partner is picking up on that. And we would always say, I think we said this very early on in the show, maybe like our first episode with Jared was, I learned this with an ex of mine. If anything I did differently, he picked up on. Like the first time I wore boy shorts, like little, just like, cute boy shorts, he'd never seen me in them. I mean, they look they make your butt look a little different. He was like wildly turned on. My pussy wasn't out. He was just like, I've never seen her in that. Like, it's just like a different type of lingerie. Like if you always wear a full coverage nude bra, then you're going to put on some lacy shit. They're going to be like, whoa, like I think guys are kind of more, it's like, I don't even know if they know what they're turned on by, but they are or something.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point though, about the idea of like, if you're feeling, if it all of a sudden it feels like almost formal in a way, like, hey, I put on all of this stuff and like, now I'm a museum piece or something like that, like that is going to, that's not sexy at all, right?
Okay. I have a question. We've talked about this in the past, not specifically in the bedroom, maybe. And I like to get different answers from different men anyways. But when women are talking about spicing up their sex lives, and a lot of them have expressed to us like, well, I've never sent a dirty pic, or I've never like sexted. And so like, I don't know what he's going to say and I'm nervous. And I have a girlfriend that expressed that to me too, that she like busted out a dirty line and her boyfriend was like, what the fuck? So in the bedroom, if you're like, I'm worried that like what I'm going to ask is going to be too much. And I'm worried I'm like going like too crazy. Like, talk to me about that. Talk to me about, you're a man. You don't think of your girl as like a freak, but she's like, tonight I'd like to try like a different lube or like to touch your butthole or whatever. Like, I want to alleviate people's fears that like people are going to shame you. And if somebody shames you, fuck that person. But
I agree with that wholeheartedly. If somebody shames you, fuck that person. And so I can't imagine there being any outer limits for a dude. I feel like that there is just, like a woman could basically say anything freaky, and a guy would be like, yeah, I could be into that,
he might have to be like, what'd you say? Like, he might take a minute. Like, our friend had to be like, wait, what did you say? And she said it again. He was like, what? Say it again. Like, she finally said it with confidence. He came immediately, right? Is that what happened?
She was like, his dick exploded. And she was like, the first time he was like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Sorry.
Yeah. No. I think that you're absolutely right, which is that like I would not feel self-conscious. If I were a woman, I would not feel self-conscious. Knowing what I know about being inside a man's head, nothing that they say is going to like be like, what was that? That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Did you hear anything else from the people, from the men you polled that surprised you, or anything we haven't discussed yet? Or were they all the same? Because all men are the same. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it was pretty. I have to say that it was pretty similar. One thing that I was interested in was, you asked, what are men thinking when this is happening, right? And that was something that, the couple of answers that I got, right? One was interesting that you brought up. That was just like, I'm just excited to be here, just happy to be here, folks.
Happy to be here.
Like that kind of thing. Also thinking about like, what am I doing a good job? That sort of thing. Another answer was I wasn't thinking about anything like that. I feel like there's also men who just like kind of go blank, right? And that is something, not in a bad way. I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, it's almost like some sort of like meditative. That's the positive way of putting it. Maybe it's like a catatonic state or something like that.
You all have that box in your brain that you go into and nothing's in it. You're just hanging out.
Right. Exactly. No, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because there are definitely times where, if my wife asks me, like, oh, what are you thinking about? And like, literally, I'm thinking about nothing. Like, it's just one of those things where I'm not even talking about during sex. I'm talking about like when I'm sitting on the couch staring at the wall, right? Or the TV or something like that. It's just like nothing, actually. And it's great.
I think that's a great message to send. We've probably said it in the last 3 years of the podcast, somewhere along the lines of asking your partner, your male partner, what he's thinking, and he says nothing, and women don't buy it. It's like, please buy it. It's the truth. What they're not on a crazy loop like we are all day. We're wired differently. If like, there's memes about it of like,
There's a great
what's he think that what's he like what they're in bed and like, what's he thinking about? And it's nothing, or it's just like something so stupid that they are embarrassed to tell you. They're like, I wonder, there's something from this, like, I don't know an example. I don't have a man's brain, but like, I think sometimes you could think your man is deep in thought and he's just not. And women, it's not a satisfactory answer. Like they're like, there's no way you're thinking about nothing. I think about things all day long, 24/7.
25 things right now.
Yeah. So sometimes it's actually the truth.
Well, I think that you bring up a good point too, which is that, and maybe that's more accurate when I say thinking about nothing. It's actually more like I'm thinking about something so incredibly stupid that I say nothing, because it's like, well, I'm thinking about a scene in Top Gun and how I'm not sure it actually makes sense to the plot of the movie right now. And, you're trying to talk to me about our kids' kindergarten picnic or something like that. And if I tell you that I'm thinking about Top Gun, that's going to make me feel, it's going to reflect poorly on me, I suppose.
Right. Uh-huh. Like a woman's like, what are you thinking? And he's like, I was thinking about like WWE last night and like that one move, they're just like, I can't tell her that because she's, got all this other quote unquote important stuff on her mind. So I think sometimes the answer is just nothing. I wanted to ask something. We get this a lot. We've talked to a lot of different people about it, but it doesn't ever hurt to get multiple opinions on just taking it slower. And I think both parties can rush into sex, and sometimes you just want, you want to just be penetrated, and that's what you want. You want to just get it in quickly. But a lot of times women want to take it slower, we all know it takes longer for women to get aroused. We hear from women that they don't know how to say that. Like they don't know how to say like, take it slow. Cause they don't mean, I don't want to have sex with you. They're not saying take it slow as in, which is also a thing you can say, I don't want to do this, but I want to get there. I just want more touching, more kissing, more foreplay.
I want an experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, how do you kind of get men to go along with that?
Yeah. How do you ask for that a little bit more, other than like, this is I dated somebody who like sex, I would say was for his pleasure, right? Like It was just like, he penetrated me. It was fine. I was very attracted to him, but it wasn't like he didn't try to curate experience for me in any way.
Curate experience.
I like that term. Curate.
Yeah. Same.
So my answer to that is twofold. And for the first part, what I think it's interesting. I know that you had Jess Pells on your podcast earlier, and I'm sure she talked about the survey that we did, but there was something that was interesting that we found in this survey, which was how much more kind of explorational that both men and women have become, want to become. And is it a result of being locked up together? Probably, I don't know, but I think that that's something that is encouraging, right? Which is that we know that at least the men that we surveyed are say that they're more interested in doing that kind of thing, right? So that's a positive thing right there. I think the other thing is, in order to sort of convince a man of that or something, is that it goes back to this question that we talked about earlier, which is this idea of being present and being engaged, right? Which is that you don't have to be recreating a porn. Like you just need to be present and with the person and enthusiastic. And if they're doing the things that you want them to do, you're going to be more present and more enthusiastic. I mean, I feel like the idea sort of sells itself. And again, if we go back to that, not to bring a very unsexy thing like data in, but if we go back to that data, we know that a majority of men say that they're more willing to engage in that kind of behavior.
Yeah. And I think it's like, again, the positive reinforcement of like, if they're doing something, you just want it to last longer. Like you can literally say that. You can just, in a sexy way, like, can we make out a little bit longer? Can you just touch me like that a little bit? Like keep doing what you're doing,
right?
Cause I think it just takes a little bit longer for women to get like warmed up to a point where they are ready for penetration or for whatever kind of sex you're having.
Yeah. Not a hot take. We've said on this podcast a million times, say I saw this thing on this podcast I want to try massage. Yesterday I didn't want to like do finger and mouth stuff either, but he started like rubbing on me and I was like, okay. But like I need to be like warmed up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with you if a man is like, has a hard dick and is ready to go and you're like, I need 5 minutes of some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and to your point about kind of the communication as men think about, am I good at this? Am I doing the right thing? To tell them what to do is not a bad thing at all, because, it kind of it takes the guesswork out of it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because we're all bringing experiences in from our previous relationships. And that's what my last girlfriend liked. I don't know what you like.
Yeah.
So, we had somebody on, one of the very first guests we had said every woman's body is like a different amusement park.
Treasure map. Yeah, or something like that.
He's the worst. But I thought it was a great point that everybody's just bringing in experiences from their last partner, and you have to like re-educate them on your treasure map.
But then also importantly, to your point, don't mention like, well, this is what I did with my last girlfriend.
I literally
you don't want to hear that.
But we also say like, you are like thanking those women for teaching them. If they're doing something good, you're like, shout out to the woman before who taught them how to choke with the appropriate amount of pressure, because he's a pro.
It's so true.
All right. Well, that feels good to me.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you feel like we missed.
What I do want to underscore is that the most recent episode of your podcast I listened to was the Shoot Your Shot Summer. And I thought that the advice that you were giving, which is just like to put yourself out there and like walk up to guys and talk to them, and like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen, that sort of thing. And a couple of things that you were saying, which is that like, nobody's going to shame you for approaching them or talking to them on a dating app or something like that. And that is so true, right? Is that I kind of want to get that across, which is all of your advice in that episode is so sound and so true. And that, don't like, if anything, the guy is just going to be so flattered and so pleased that like you went for it, you shot your shot, and so. Yeah, everybody shoot your shots.
Thank you for validating us.
Wrap it up. Well, we're so grateful for your time. We love that you did this. Obviously, we want everybody to read Esquire. We're fans of Esquire, and
thank you. Yes, me too.
And follow you on Instagram. I Esquire follows me on Instagram. Actually, has for a long time. So if there's anything else we can direct people towards, anything else that you want to let people know about, now would be the time.
So read Esquire, subscribe to Esquire in print, read us at esquire.com, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, you name it, right? Just read Esquire. It's a great magazine. It's a great website. We're doing fun things. We're doing new things. So please, everyone, check it out.
Yeah. And I love that you let us know how you guys have been approaching the sex conversation, just being really intentional about it. So that's really, really great.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye. And you guys know where to find us, girlsgottoeatpodcast.com. Get tickets to that third Philly show before they sell out. Girls Gotta Eat Podcast on Instagram. I'm Ash Hess on Instagram. Raina is Raina.Greenberg. Girls_Gotta Eat on Twitter, and youtube.com/girlsgottoeat.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Bye.